I'm Lauren from Air One, joined today by MercyMe's Bart Millard, who has got a movie coming out soon based off the song I Can Only Imagine.
Yeah, I do. It's weird.
It's weird, I would imagine. Who would have thought that something so personal for you so many years ago turned into a song, then snowballed into a movie, that this would have been something that happened, right?
Yeah, it's surreal is probably the best word that comes to mind. We were approached about 7 or 8 years ago. Somebody heard, I guess, me telling the story on stage or something like that, and they approached me and said, "Hey, I want to try to make a movie out of your childhood, your relationship with your dad, and how the song came about." And I thought they were crazy. There's no way, whatever. And so for about 5 years, we maybe twice a year they'd say, "Hey, don't forget about us. We're still working on this movie." And it was like, okay, it's never going to happen. And then it was probably 2 years ago when the Irwins got involved that it kind of started picking up steam. And I remember going, oh, because I just never thought it would happen. And I was like, oh shoot, like this may actually happen. Like,
Yeah.
I need to talk to my family and work out some issues, I guess is what it felt like. But I got really nervous, because I just never stopped to think that there's so much that I've tried to hide or get away from in my past that it's about to be in a movie. And so yeah, it was a little scary at first, but I loved how it turned out, and I was nervous that it would be just a not well done, or just not great, and so that was my biggest fear. And I think they did a great job. I was really pleased with how the redemption story was told, and I just think they did a good job trying to, because I was afraid they were going to not portray, if you can't portray how bad my dad was, it kind of dilutes the whole thing. And so I was like, good luck doing that and not being an R-rated movie. And they were like, well, let us try. And they did a good job of kind of walking that line and making me very uncomfortable watching scenes. I was like, well, you've stirred the same emotions, so you're doing something right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it somewhat therapeutic even to kind of go back through it and watch it on the flip side, like as an adult to watch yourself go back through that?
Some of the most random moments, like when I went to watch them film on set, the week that Dennis Quaid started doing his parts, I kind of went in and there's no one telling you how to prepare for this stuff. And so I went in, and the first scene that I sat down to watch, didn't even have a chance to meet Dennis because they were just starting to film, was when he's diagnosed with cancer. And so he walks in the room with my dad's name on his work shirt, and they're telling him, Mr. Miller, and it tore me up. Like I was not ready for that at all.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, cut. Now let's go to the scene where he breaks the plate over your head, the big fight scene. I'm like, okay, I need a second. It was I just kind of got thrown into it, and it was really the most random time was in that scene. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
Okay.
No.
There's a big fight scene where my dad breaks a plate over my head, and I kind of storm out of the house, like I'm older, and that scene really happened in real life. And when they kept the cameras rolling, and Dennis Quaid, my dad's in the room by himself, and he's kind of slumped over. He's defeated. Like it's almost like something he can't control. Like he's mad at himself that he keeps losing his cool. And they kept rolling, and he's picking up the pieces of the plate and just, starting to tear up. And I'm standing there. I'm literally there watching from a monitor around the corner. And for the first time in my life, it had never dawned on me what my dad could have wrestled with after I left. Like I've never thought of what did he go through? I just never thought about it. So I'm sitting there watching this kind of happen, and I'm just trying not to cry out loud and ruin the scene. I'm sitting there trying to hold it together. And when they yelled cut, 50 people scrambled to reset the scene and do it again. And I was frozen. And Dennis saw me, and he kind of ran over. He's, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Man," I said, "I've never ever thought of what my dad wrestled with until watching that." And it just really, I don't know what's going on right now, but it's really messing me up. And so, yeah, there's definitely some therapeutic moments that I'll never forget.
Because you'd only lived it through your experience. I mean, that's what you knew was from your shoes.
Yeah, you just you tell the story from the victim and the kid that's been running the whole time, and you never stop to think what what made him that way. What got him to that point. What did he feel like once he hurt the kid he loved and the kid storms out? Like, what did he wrestle with? I always thought he'd good riddance, I did my job, or whatever. You forget the human side of that.
Yeah. I have to ask, Bart, I feel like something that everybody would want to know. Did you get to pick who played you?
We had a list of I had a short list that I kind of got to contribute to, and Dennis was on the short list, and Dennis he literally fell into our laps. There were when we were trying to figure out who would be, they were like, just there's nothing too big, just dream up whoever. And so I wrote a list of like 5 actors, and I think it was like John Goodman. It was John, and just people that reminded me of my dad: John Goodman, Mel Gibson, Jeff Bridges, and Dennis Quaid, and there was one more. I can't remember the other one. It's been so long. And they were like, Tom Hanks is one they put on there. And Dennis was like, send me a script. And next thing you know, he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he came in last minute and just knocked it out of the park. It's the best performance he's ever done, in my opinion. It's so good. And he's so scary at times, but he did a great job. Right.
I love that. Okay, so I have to ask one last question too. Yeah. What made you cry more? Scenes from this movie or last night's episode of This Is Us?
Last night wiped me out.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you know what? The trick to this is because of my story is what made last night so horrifically awful for me. There are 2 scenes. Like, I'm learning. It's funny because my wife and I guess you're caught up, right? You've watched. I won't give anything away.
So I'm not caught up, but I'm going to tell you this. I wonder how many crock pots were thrown out last night or this morning.
But you've seen other episodes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, especially for last season. The one, do you remember the one where his dad was in the dojo and did the push-ups with his son on his back?
On his back, yes.
Yeah, that one. My wife knew. She watched it without me, and she goes, you have to see this. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I know what you're doing to me. I'm not ready to cry. So the next morning at 8 in the morning, she's getting kids ready for school or whatever. She turns it on in our bedroom. I'm still in bed. And she turns it on and just closes the door. I was like, what are you doing? It comes on. It's like, oh, my gosh, not now. And so I'm thinking there's a lot of similarities. And the biggest thing that I cry about is if he – because I don't know. This is like a whole other segment. Like, I thought what happened last night was going to happen because he was having a relapse or was a bad dad or something, because it kind of led to that. But for it to happen and him be the perfect human being is what wrecked me. Like, for someone that didn't have that for so long, to see it happen to him was just like, oh, man, I was in shambles. But, yes, the 2 are so connected. It's like, that's why that show means so much to me.
I knew you were a fan, but I also just based off knowing a little bit of the story behind the song, I figured that's got to be emotional for you every time. It brings up every family's somewhat stuff, kind of starts surfacing, but yeah.
I avoided it at all costs, but end up watching it every week.
Hey, super excited that we got to talk to you. Super excited for this movie to come out. It hits theaters, I can only imagine is in theaters in March, correct?
March 16th. Yeah.
March 16th.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm not the brightest guy in the room, because it just dawned on me yesterday that it's March 16th is 316. That was their kind of thing with the John 316, I guess. I don't know. And so somebody on the air a little while ago was like, yeah, 316. I was like, yes, that is correct. I knew that. Like,
yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, they wanted some people to be able to remember, and I was like, thanks for cluing me in there, guys.
That's okay. Keep taking credit for it. I'm excited to see the movie. I know a lot of other people are, and thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It's good talking to you.
Bye, Bart.
Bye-bye.